The Watcher in the Woods. It was late October when my friends and I decided to spend the weekend at a cabin deep in the woods. The air was crisp, and the leaves were a kaleidoscope of orange and red. We were excited to escape the bustle of city life, to hike, tell ghost stories, and enjoy the quiet of nature. The cabin was rustic but cozy, surrounded by towering pines that loomed like ancient sentinels. The first night, we gathered around the fire, laughing and sharing tales. As the flames crackled, I noticed a flicker of movement at the edge of the tree line. I brushed it off as a trick of the light, but unease settled in my stomach. "Did anyone else see that?" I asked, trying to sound nonchalant. "See what?" Sarah replied, glancing over her shoulder. "Just something in the woods," I said, forcing a smile. "Probably a deer." We went to bed, but sleep didn't come easily. The wind howled outside, and every creak of the cabin sent chills down my spine. I finally drifted off, only to be jolted awake by a noise, a rhythmic thumping like someone knocking on the door. I lay still, listening. It stopped, replaced by silence. My heart raced, but I convinced myself it was nothing. Then I heard a whisper, faint but clear. "Help me." I sat up, wide-eyed. "Did anyone else hear that?" I whispered to Sarah, who was in the bed across the room. She shook her head, sleepily annoyed. "You're just hearing things. Go back to sleep." The next morning, I felt silly for letting my imagination run wild. We spent the day hiking, laughing, and enjoying each other's company. But as the sun dipped below the horizon, a sense of foreboding returned. That night, we decided to tell ghost stories again. But this time, my mind kept drifting back to the whispers. "Okay, I'll go first," I said, trying to shake off the dread. "This is a story about a girl who got lost in the woods. She heard a voice calling for help, but it led her deeper into the forest, where she vanished." As I spoke, I noticed a shadow flitting between the trees outside. It looked human, but the way it moved was unnatural, too quick, too jerky. My throat tightened. "Guys, I think someone's out there," I said, my voice trembling. "Stop it," Ryan said, half laughing. "It's probably just a raccoon." "No, seriously," I insisted, moving to the window. The forest outside was dark, the shadows playing tricks on my mind. "I'm going to check it out." "Are you insane?" Sarah exclaimed. "It's pitch black. Let's just lock the doors." But I couldn't shake the feeling that someone, or something, was watching us. I grabbed a flashlight and stepped outside, the beam cutting through the thick darkness. The air was cold, and an unsettling quiet enveloped me. "Hello?" I called out, my voice barely above a whisper. The only answer was the rustling of leaves. I strained to hear anything, but all I felt was a growing dread. I walked a little deeper into the woods, the flashlight flickering. That's when I saw it. A figure standing between the trees, cloaked in shadows. My heart raced. "Who's there?" I shouted, but the figure didn't move. It was too still. Suddenly, it turned its head, and I felt a chill that pierced through my bones. Its eyes, dark, hollow, seemed to bore into me. I stumbled back, panic clawing at my throat, and ran back toward the cabin. I burst through the door, slamming it shut behind me. "Did you find anything?" Sarah asked, looking concerned. "No, I think I saw someone. I don't know who, but it felt wrong." My voice shook, and my friends exchanged worried glances. "Let's just stay inside," Ryan suggested, trying to lighten the mood. But I could see he was nervous too. The rest of the night was a blur of whispered conversations and nervous laughter, but the atmosphere was thick with tension. Finally, we decided to go to bed, but sleep eluded me once again. I lay in bed, heart pounding, listening for any sounds outside. Around midnight, the thumping returned. This time it was louder, more insistent. I sat up, paralyzed with fear. Then came the whisper, clearer now. "Help me!" I shook Sarah awake, urgency in my voice. "It's happening again! We have to go!" She rubbed her eyes, confused. "What are you talking about?" "The voice! Someone's out there! We can't stay here!" I was frantic. Before she could respond, a loud bang echoed against the cabin, making us all jump. The door rattled as if someone were trying to force it open. "Guys, what the hell?" Ryan shouted, suddenly alert. "We need to lock all the windows and doors," I yelled, adrenaline flooding my veins. We scrambled, checking every lock. The banging continued, relentless and violent. "Whoever it is, we can't let them in," Sarah cried, her face pale. The banging stopped abruptly, leaving an eerie silence. We stood frozen, hearts racing, when a soft knock followed. A tap, 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 almost gentle. I felt a chill crawl up my spine. "It's trying to trick us," I whispered. Then, through the window, I saw it again, the shadowy figure standing just outside, staring at us. The eyes were glowing now, filled with something dark and malevolent. I couldn't look away, frozen in place. "Run!" I screamed, grabbing Sarah's arm. We bolted for the back door, but it swung open before we could reach it. The figure stood there, blocking our way. "Help me!" it rasped, and I recognized the voice. It was the same voice I'd heard in my dreams. The hollow eyes bore into my soul, and I felt the world tilt around me. In that moment, something in me snapped. I screamed and pushed past it, dragging Sarah and Ryan with me. We sprinted into the woods, branches clawing at our skin, fear propelling us forward. Behind us, we could hear the whisper grow louder, the voice echoing in our minds. "Help me! Help me!" We didn't stop running until we reached the car, panting and terrified. Ryan fumbled with the keys, and as the engine roared to life, we sped away, leaving the cabin and the figure behind us. As we drove into the night, I glanced back. In the rearview mirror, the woods were dark and still. But for a fleeting moment, I thought I saw the figure standing at the edge of the trees, watching us leave. To this day, I can't shake the feeling that we escaped something that night. The whispers still haunt my dreams, and I wonder what would have happened if we hadn't run. But one thing is certain. We'll never return to those woods again.
Okay. Good.